There's a story I once heard about a man who used to sit alone in his car every night before going inside his home. Not because he didn't want to see the people waiting for him, and not because he was avoiding anything. He just needed a few minutes to breathe, a few minutes to take off the pressure of the world, the expectations, the roles, the noise. In those quiet moments, he wasn't a provider, a protector, or someone trying to be strong. He was just a human being sitting in stillness, trying to feel like himself again. One evening, someone he loved noticed. She didn't question him. She didn't interrupt. She simply walked outside, opened the passenger door, and sat next to him without saying a word. They stayed there together in silence. No advice, no demands, no performance, just presence. Later, he said that was the moment he felt truly understood, not because of what was said, but because of what was felt. It was the first time in a long while that he didn't feel like he had to prove anything. He could just exist, and that was enough. We often think connection comes from big gestures, loud moments, or perfect words. But the truth is, the deepest bonds are formed in the quiet spaces, in the moments where someone sees you without you having to explain yourself, where you feel safe enough to let your guard down without even realizing you had one up. That kind of connection is rare, and when people find it, it stays with them for the rest of their lives. It reminds me of a simple thought that has always stayed with me. Real connection begins the moment you stop trying to be impressive and start allowing yourself to be present. Because at the end of the day, what people remember most isn't what you did, it's how they felt around you. It's the calm, the warmth, the sense of being seen without judgment. And once someone experiences that kind of presence with you, it leaves a mark, a quiet, lasting one that doesn't fade easily. There is a part of male desire that most people never really talk about. It sits in a quiet space where the mind and the body meet, where attraction is not only about what someone sees, but about what they feel inside. I want you to think about something Carl Jung once said. He explained that when two personalities meet, it is like two chemical elements coming into contact. If there is a reaction, both people change. That idea is powerful because it shows that real connection is not just physical. It creates something emotional and lasting. And the moments I'm about to describe live exactly in that space where people don't just feel pleasure, they feel transformation. You may have heard people talk about closeness and connection before. You may have heard different ideas about what brings two people closer. But there are certain positions that men secretly long for, and not because of what they look like from the outside. It goes much deeper than that. These moments speak to something inside their minds that feels raw and natural. Many women never try them, not because they don't want to, but because no one ever told them how much influence they actually hold. There is a quiet kind of power in understanding what makes someone feel seen, wanted, and safe at the same time. What makes this even more interesting is that these moments are not really about technique. They are not just about angles or movement. They work on a psychological level. They touch something emotional that stays in a man's memory long after the moment has passed. I'm going to walk you through 5 of these experiences, but before that, you need to understand why they matter. If you rush to copy actions without understanding the meaning behind them, you will miss what makes them special. The real effect comes from the feeling you create, not the motion. When the emotion is real, the memory becomes strong and lasting. Most men grow up feeling like they have to lead. They feel pressure to perform, to stay in control, and to always appear confident. They believe they must carry the energy of the moment. But something different happens when a woman changes that dynamic without forcing it. When she creates a calm space where he can simply be himself, without trying to prove anything, something shifts inside him. He stops thinking about what he is supposed to do. He stops trying to act strong. Instead, he starts to feel. And when a man begins to feel instead of perform, that is when the connection reaches deeper than the surface. I used to believe that men only remembered the intense and dramatic moments, the kind that look exciting from the outside. But over time, I learned that the moments they return to in their minds are not always the loud or wild ones. The ones that stay with them are the quiet moments when their guards slowly came down without them even realizing it. The moments where they were not only desired for how they looked, but appreciated for who they were. When a man feels accepted and safe in a moment like that, it leaves a strong emotional mark that does not fade easily. That is why the first position I want to talk about is so powerful. I call it the anchor. It may look simple on the outside, but the emotional effect it creates is deep. Facing each other closely, bodies near, arms around his neck, everything feels calm and centered. There is no distance. There is no place to hide behind performance or pressure. In that moment, it is not about doing something impressive. It is about being present. And when you are that close, he cannot escape the feeling of connection. He feels grounded, almost like time slows down for a second. In this space, eye contact becomes natural, breathing becomes shared, and the world outside feels far away. It may not seem dramatic, but it removes the need for him to lead or control everything. It gives him a chance to relax in a way he may not even realize he needed. When a man feels that kind of closeness, he starts to feel understood without having to say a word. That kind of moment stays with him because it is rare, it feels honest, it feels real, and it touches something deeper than excitement ever could. What makes this position special is not what you see, but what it does to the energy between two people. It quietly removes the space where pressure usually lives. There is no role to play, no need to prove anything, just two people sharing the same moment. And in that stillness, something powerful happens. He begins to feel safe enough to let his guard down. He stops trying to impress. He stops trying to lead. He simply allows himself to be there. And that kind of emotional opening is something men don't experience often. When that shift happens, the connection becomes stronger in a way that feels natural, not forced. He starts to associate that closeness with comfort and peace. It becomes a memory that feels warm every time he thinks about it. That is why it is called the anchor. It holds him in that feeling. It reminds him of the moment he felt calm, seen, and accepted without effort. And once a man feels that kind of emotional safety, it stays in his mind longer than anything loud or intense ever could. So while it may seem simple on the surface, this is not just about being physically close. It is about creating a space where he can stop performing and start feeling. And when that happens, the connection moves past the surface and touches something much deeper. It is not about trying to impress him. It is about allowing him to feel present, valued, and understood. That is the real power behind it. And that is why this moment, this anchor, quietly becomes something he remembers long after everything else fades. Your breathing begins to slow and fall into rhythm with his. Your chest rises and lowers at the same pace. It feels natural, not forced. He is not just holding you in that moment. He is truly there with you. There is no distraction, no distance, no easy way to pull away from the connection. This is where Jung's idea becomes real. When two people meet deeply, they don't stay the same. Something shifts in both of them. The physical side starts to fade into the background, and the emotional presence becomes stronger. The moment stops being about what is happening outside and becomes about what is happening inside. But what really makes this unforgettable is not just how close your bodies are, it is the small details that most people overlook. When your fingers slowly move to the back of his neck without thinking too much about it, when you lean in and say something soft that is not meant to impress him but comes from somewhere honest, that is where the magic happens. It is not dramatic, it is not loud, it is personal. And those tiny actions stay in his mind because they feel real. They create a memory that feels connected to emotion, not performance. When you whisper something simple about how you feel in that moment, even if it is not perfectly said, you are doing something powerful. You are placing yourself inside his emotional world. He is not just experiencing closeness. He is building a story in his mind about what intimacy means. And now you are part of that story. You become linked to how he defines comfort and connection. That is not something he forgets easily. Men may not always talk about these moments, but they replay them quietly. They remember how it felt when someone truly met them without pressure. And here is the part most people don't expect. The anchor is strong, but it is not even the most powerful experience on this list. Not even close. There is another one, the fourth, that reaches into something much older inside male psychology. It touches something almost timeless, something that feels familiar even if he cannot explain why. It goes beyond simple closeness and taps into a deeper instinct. And when you understand that level, you realize this is not about surface attraction at all. It is about creating a connection that feels rooted and unforgettable. Think of this as the psychological pull behind everything. I'll explain the deeper meaning when the time comes, but for now, see the anchor as the base that supports everything else. Without it, the other moments lose much of their impact. And this is where many women misunderstand the point. The anchor is not about holding tightly to him. It is about creating a space where he feels like he is the one being held. That small shift in roles may seem quiet on the surface, but inside it is powerful. Men do not often experience that kind of emotional safety. When they do, it stays with them in a way they don't forget. I remember a moment from years ago when I experienced this without planning it. There was no effort to impress, no trying to create something special. It was just stillness, calm breathing, and my fingers gently moving through his hairline. It felt simple and natural. Weeks later, he told me that was the exact moment he realized he could not stop thinking about me. That was the moment that stayed in his mind more than anything else. That is the kind of emotional pull we are talking about here. And this is only the beginning, because the next experience changes the energy completely and brings a very different feeling into the connection. The second moment, which I call the edge, shifts everything. It turns calm energy into anticipation. This is where tension becomes something meaningful. It is about allowing a moment to build slowly, stretching that quiet excitement until it feels almost too strong to hold. Imagine lying back, relaxed and open, your presence fully visible without trying to hide anything. There are no barriers, no distance, just honesty. His eyes can take everything in, but what he doesn't realize is that you are guiding the pace. You are shaping the moment without needing to say a word, and that creates a different kind of connection. This is where control becomes something gentle and natural. Men often believe they are the ones leading when they are standing close, leaning forward and moving with purpose. But what they don't always notice is how much the energy of the moment is influenced by the calm confidence of the person in front of them. You don't need to force anything or try to take charge in an obvious way. The real power comes from being present and allowing the moment to unfold slowly. That quiet confidence creates a sense of anticipation that makes the experience feel deeper and more meaningful than anything rushed. But the truth is, your hips, your legs, even the simple angle of your hands can guide the entire moment without you saying a single word. That is the quiet strength of the edge. It speaks to his natural instinct to pursue, yet at the same time, it gently shifts the balance of power. You become the one who controls the rhythm, the depth, and the intensity. He may feel like he is moving forward, but you are shaping how fast or slow everything unfolds. That subtle shift is powerful because it does not look like control. It feels natural, almost effortless, and that is exactly why it works so well. Here is the deeper psychological pull behind it. When you remain still for just a little longer than he expects, it sharpens his awareness. His attention moves to every small detail. He notices your breathing, the warmth of your skin under his hands, the way your eyes meet his for a brief second before softly closing again. Stillness is not about doing nothing. It is about increasing sensation. It makes every touch feel stronger. Then when you finally move, even if it is only a gentle shift of your hips or a hand pulling him slightly closer, the contrast feels intense because of the tension that built before it. This is the space where surrender and control meet. It creates a quiet push and pull that feels magnetic. Most people rush through moments like this. They treat anticipation as something to finish quickly instead of something to experience. But when you slow down and allow the silence to grow, when you let the air between you feel heavy with expectation, something changes inside him. His body becomes alert, his focus becomes sharper, every nerve feels tuned in. He cannot ignore the energy because you have made the moment impossible to overlook. And when that kind of attention is captured, it stays with him long after. He will not just notice the shift, he will start to crave it. That is what makes the edge so powerful. It gives you the space to truly read him instead of rushing to impress him. You are paying attention, you are adjusting slowly. You are choosing how much access he gets to you and at what pace. There is no hurry in your energy. That calm control changes everything. The men who experience this do not forget it, not because it looks dramatic or extreme, but because in that moment they realize you are not simply reacting. You are guiding the entire experience without making it obvious. As strong as the edge feels, it is still only part of the story. The next shift takes things into a completely different direction. The third position works because it removes something important. It takes away his ability to read your face and immediately understand what you are thinking. When that happens, his imagination steps forward, and imagination is incredibly powerful. I call this the backstage pass. You turn slightly away from him. Maybe you are leaning forward. Maybe you are standing with your hands resting against something steady. The exact details matter less than the perspective you create. From where he stands, he cannot fully see your expression. He does not know exactly what you are feeling in that second or what you might do next. That small gap between what is visible and what remains hidden pulls his focus deeper. Men are often described as visual, and that is true, but they are also very imaginative when given space. When you limit his access to your face, you gently push him to notice other signals. He begins to read your breathing, the subtle movement of your body, the way your weight shifts from one side to the other. His attention becomes sharper. Instead of relying on obvious cues, he starts to tune into every small change. That uncertainty creates a quiet tension that feels exciting without being chaotic. He leans in mentally because he wants to understand you. He wants to predict you. And when he cannot fully do that, the mystery keeps him engaged. You are not giving everything away at once. You are allowing layers to unfold naturally. That sense of discovery feels different from anything rushed. It feels earned. And when a man feels like he is discovering you piece by piece, the experience becomes far more memorable. What makes this so effective is that you are not hiding out of fear. You are choosing to reveal yourself slowly. That choice shifts the balance again. He may feel close, but he does not feel completely certain. And that slight uncertainty keeps his mind active. He becomes more aware, more present, more invested. It is not about confusion, it is about intrigue. When you understand how to create that space between what is shown and what is felt, you turn his imagination into your greatest ally. And once his imagination is involved, the connection deepens in a way that feels almost effortless. Every small movement becomes more noticeable. Even the slightest change in rhythm feels stronger and more meaningful. This is what real mystery feels like, and it has a way of drawing someone in without effort. On a psychological level, you are touching something deep inside him, something connected to the image he carries of feminine energy. In that moment, you are not just the person in front of him. You become something he feels but cannot fully explain. That is why even a quick glance over your shoulder, meeting his eyes for a second before turning away again, can affect him so strongly. You offer just enough and then you pull back, and that gentle push and pull keeps his focus completely on you. The beauty of this moment is that it frees you from overthinking. You are not worried about whether your expression looks right because he cannot see it. You can close your eyes, let your head lean forward, and move in a way that feels natural to you. That sense of freedom slowly turns into confidence, and confidence has its own quiet pull. He feels it without you saying anything. He reacts to it without understanding why. When you are relaxed and present, it changes the entire energy. It feels honest and unforced, and that honesty creates a deeper connection that words could never explain. There is another layer to this that many people do not notice. When he cannot see your face, he starts to listen more carefully to everything else. He notices the smallest signals from your body. He pays attention to how you shift, how you breathe, how your energy changes. Without realizing it, he begins to follow your rhythm. You are guiding the moment in silence, and that quiet leadership feels natural. It does not look like control. It feels like harmony. And when that happens, the connection becomes stronger. because it is built on instinct instead of effort. As powerful as mystery can be, there is still another level beyond it. There is a moment that does not hide you at all. In fact, it brings you so close that there is nowhere to pull back or stay guarded. And when used in the right way, it can feel like the most emotionally intense experience of all. This next shift is not about distance or imagination. It is about closeness in its purest form, where everything feels exposed and real at the same time. And that kind of openness can create a connection that feels both exciting and deeply emotional. This moment is what I call the full embrace. You are face to face, legs wrapped gently around him, arms resting around his neck, bodies close enough that you can feel each other's heartbeat. On the surface, it seems simple, almost like nothing special is happening. But on a deeper level, it carries a strong emotional effect. In the full embrace, there is no distance between you. Your eyes are right there in front of his. Your breathing blends together. Your chest rises and falls against his. He is not just touching you in that moment. He feels surrounded by your presence, and that changes the entire experience in a quiet but powerful way. This is the space where the idea of performance starts to disappear. There is no room for distraction, no space for him to think about how he looks or whether he is doing enough. Everything becomes still and focused. He stops trying to control the moment and simply allows himself to be there with you. That kind of closeness creates a calm feeling that many men do not experience often. When someone is that near, when the connection feels that real, it becomes less about actions and more about presence. And presence is what makes a moment feel genuine and deeply remembered. There is something rare that happens in the full embrace, and most men do not experience it often. They are used to carrying the weight of being the leader, the one who performs, the one who protects. In this moment, all of that quietly falls away. You remove the pressure without announcing it. You give him something that few people ever offer, a space where he does not have to prove anything. He can simply exist. If Jung were describing this, he might call it a form of individuation happening in real time, where the roles and masks dissolve and what remains is just two people being real with each other. In this closeness, the smallest gestures feel amplified. When you run your hands slowly through his hair or trace your fingers down his back, it lands with more impact because there is no distance between you. Even a soft whisper that only he can hear feels personal and powerful. And when your eyes meet and you hold that gaze long enough for him to feel it instead of just seeing it, you communicate something without words. You are saying, "I choose you right now." That kind of message settles deep. It does not just become a memory, it becomes a standard in his mind for what intimacy feels like. The full embrace can shift in tone without losing its depth. It can be slow and gentle, or intense and urgent, or move naturally between both. You decide the rhythm, but what most people miss is this. When you are that close, you are not only awakening desire, you are grounding him. You are signaling to his nervous system that it is safe to relax and let go. That feeling of safety mixed with desire is incredibly powerful. It creates an experience that feels steady and exciting at the same time. And yet, even this is not the highest point of the list. The final position is what I call the slow burn. This one is not about a specific posture or dramatic movement. It is about pacing. It is about stretching time and letting anticipation grow instead of rushing toward an ending. You begin close enough for him to feel your warmth, but not so close that the tension disappears. Every movement is intentional. Every pause has purpose. You do not hurry toward the peak. You build slowly, feeding the connection bit by bit, allowing it to deepen naturally instead of forcing it forward.